Do you need some help with picking a commercial pattern and learning how to alter it for your next cosplay? Then here's your tips. Firstly, let me just say, nobody expects you to draft up patterns and pull them from thin air, or to be some sort of magician and throw fabric at a machine and it magically appears into the finished garment. Though to be honest, that would be kind of cool. Most of us start with a commercial pattern, like Simplicity, Berta, McCall's, Butterick. But which pattern? The two key things to look for when choosing a pattern is silhouette and seams. Silhouette refers to the shape of the garment. For example, you would use a different pattern for the skirt of Peach versus the skirt of Officer Jenny. Seams refer to where two pieces of fabric meet and join together. For example, Snow White has a distinct bodice and skirt pattern, where Arwen has a full-length princess-style cut dress. When choosing your pattern, have your reference image close by. That way you can start sorting patterns for the ones that might be appropriate. But what if they don't have the right neckline or sleeves or collar? Do not fear, I got you covered. Necklines are super easy to change. For example, this is a squarish neckline. If you want to make it a sweetheart neckline, simply cut from the center point into a curve. If I wanted to change this to a round or scooped neckline, I cut a more gentle curve in the opposite way. And say I change my mind altogether and want a square neckline back, I grab some scrap fabric, pin it in place, and voila, I've got it back. At this point in time, I should point out that this, of course, is a mock-up. A mock-up is essentially a practice run for you to try out your pattern before your scissors go towards the really expensive pretty fabric. I recommend that you do one of these for anything that's fitted or for any part that you're unsure about. Now let's talk about Frankensteining patterns. Say, for example, you want those sleeves on that bodice, or that collar on that coat. You can do that. It all comes back to seams. If you've got enough fabric and it comes to here, you can add a sleeve. If you've got enough fabric and it comes to here, you can add a collar. You might have to play a little bit around with the size of the armhole or the neckline and the size of the sleeve or the collar, but look, it's all doable. So in the spirit of Frankensteining,
create your monster.
Another tip for the ladies out there, especially those who are a little bit larger in the chest region, if you're tossing up between a few different patterns, look to see if any of them have different cup sizes. This will save you a lot of heartache when it comes time for fitting. I have personally used some of Yaya Hun's patterns and some other McCall ones. On the packaging, it will state if they have different cup sizes options on the back. Another thing to check on all patterns before using them are the sizes actually printed on the pattern piece. The envelope will often say one finished measurement, where the pattern pieces will say another. Always go by the pattern piece. Now that we've gone through all the theory, let me show you what I mean in practice. I'm currently working on the stage version of Christine Daae's masquerade dress from Phantom of the Opera. The pattern I chose to use was McCall's M7615 for the bodice. I chose it because the seams and the silhouette was very close to what I was after, but straight away I knew I had to make some alterations, mostly to the length. I also opted to remove the front central seam and make that one piece. As I was drafting out the mock-up, I added extra length and width as the bodice needed to go past the waist and over the puffy skirt. After constructing the mock-up together, I noticed some other things. The neckline, even with 1.5 seam allowance, was too high, so I marked where it had to be cut. The side seam was also too loose at the top, so I pinned where the new seam had to be. I also noticed that more fabric was needed at the back, and I guesstimated roughly where the scallops would finish. You'll notice that I'm wearing the mock-up inside out. This way it was easier to play with the seams. Using the notes and the altered pattern pieces, I decided to make a second mock-up, which I then drew in the scalloped bottom and the beading pattern. Once I was happy with it, I began construction on the real top, and this is it here. And there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed those tips and tricks on how to choose and alter a commercial pattern. And look, if you don't take anything else away from this video, just remember silhouette and seams when choosing your pattern, and always do a mock-up where appropriate. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments section. And as always, please don't forget to like my Facebook page and subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you next time.